So we are back with part two, you guys, of our discussion. We were talking about race and conversations and just being put in just debates and different sides and everything. And I want to go. I want to continue that because I was saying I was going to piggyback off of you with this whole, not knowing where people are from or where they're at in life at the moment because that does affect any conversation where people come from
Absolutely.
just wherever
Yeah.
you are. If you had a bad day, that can affect the conversation. You have a great day, affects the conversation. So I know that for groups that are othered, that includes women. That includes women
Mhm.
because I'm sorry, folks. The straight male conservative guy is the one. That's number one. Everybody else actually is number two. That's how it's viewed. Sorry, folks. That triggers some people out there, but that's just the truth. So many of us in other groups feel sometimes at this point in time we're done. So I do understand that sometimes conversations get very heated and very one-sided because they're done with all the cumulative
Yeah.
effects that may have affected them all these years, the traumas they've gone through. And I try to remember that sometimes too when someone's coming at me. Sometimes I go, okay, I kind of get it. You've been a woman your whole life. You're tired of getting less money. You're tired of being talked down to. So now you're at a point where you're just like, it's my way or the highway. Even though we know it can't. I understand I understand not. Trust me, I understand being tired of being tolerated or whatever. But I get. But we know in the long run, still that doesn't help either. In the long, it still doesn't help. But I try to have grace and compassion, saying I understand that you're at this point where you're just like, nope, that's it. Nothing else can come in. Ask me this way, that's it. And I totally get it because the person who's black or LGBTQIA plus or whatever, we're tired of being told we don't belong here, we shouldn't be here, laws against us, and now women are being attacked with their laws, and I get where people sometimes the ears do close because they're just like, that's it. We can't talk about anything because you're just evil on your end, and I'm not, and I have sympathy for that. But you have to also say that everybody's super evil. They may have a feeling about something because they don't know any different. And I understand the whole thing of I'm tired of teaching people. I always have my Black Voice of America or whatever. I say all the time. I get that too sometimes. Also, you can pick and choose when you want to do it, but I just feel like still a mind has to be open somewhat to still have a discussion because you might be able to change a mind or two. Yeah, you might be able to change everybody. You can't change everybody's minds. But
Mhm.
if I get one person to think slightly differently about something or view it slightly, for example, for me, and I won't get into a huge talk about this, but I just when the whole Black Lives Matter stuff was happening, and so I would do these talks. I get attacked online when I do these talks. That's fine. But my goal was just to share some of my stories to the
Mhm.
folks who feel like they knew me, or the
Right.
folks who do know me and know that I'm not some gun-toting gangbang member, saggy pant person who all the stereotypes they think about black people. That
Yeah.
if you think I'm a regular black guy and I'm sharing stories with you of police brutality against me, that may change your mind about something because now you can put a face to. I thought it was very important that I should do that to say, okay, you're looking at this person over here and saying they're a criminal. They're a criminal. Well, I have no criminal record. I've never been arrested. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my taxes, all that kind of stuff. Pretty much stable, raised children, the whole thing. And I look like this, and I've had police exchanges that were horrible, or I've had like at least 10 of them my whole life as a black man. And so someone will tell me, James, now that you've kind of shared it with me, it made them kind of go, okay, now I kind of get it, that there is a problem. I had one friend who was with me one time when it happened, and he's white, and he said to me, this is the first time I've seen racism in my face. He said, I saw it happen to you. He goes, I saw it happen. Like he had to be there to see it. But to me, it's like that's where discussion comes from. You go, okay, let me just show you since you think you know me or you think I'm a great person, you think I'm really jolly and happy. I'm just telling you, it can happen to me too. So here's a
Mhm.
face. And I think that's important also. So maybe someone out there goes, wow, James, I see it differently. Because if it happened to you, James, there must be a problem, right? They go, well, you're one of the nice people on earth, James. I understand that. It must be a problem. And I think that's a lot of times we have to do that as the othered or the person on this side. And I'm sure people on the other side of you, whether you're a Republican talking to a Democrat or a conservative talking to a liberal, I think each side has their right to present their case to you and tell you this is where I'm coming from, this is why I believe this. And you go, this is why I believe this. You're right. That art of it is gone. That art of it is it's just because I know folks are feeling dire about certain things on both sides. I hate extremes on either side. I want to make that clear. Any extremes on either side bug the earth out of me. I'm more of in the middle somewhere. So I was trying to get this back to the middle. Back to the middle. We have to live together, so let's get back to the middle. Anyway, so that's why I just want to piggyback off what you said. I think it's true that someone could come into this going, I had an abortion or I had this and I marched for 3 days. I'm tired. I'm coming from that space into a conversation. Yeah, it might be a little volatile and it may be very one-sided though, because you're heavily feeling that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that I agree with everything that you said, and I think you spoke really beautifully about it. I think that if the majority gives up in having open conversations to work towards compromise, there is no solution, I don't believe, really total solution, but there are absolute compromises, and certainly we can treat each other better, always. I hope that the majority continues to strive to reach these compromises, because no side is ever going to get their way. Absolutely. Yep. No side is ever going to get their way. But I think that that's my concern right now, is I'm seeing an overwhelming shutdown of conversation kind of in the middle, like you were talking about. The majority of us, I think, can see the other side. I think the majority of us do empathize with one another to a certain degree, as much as we can. And I think that those folks in the middle, though, are starting to have stresses about still being in the same conversation. It's that attitude of, God, we're still talking about this. This is a conversation that will last generations. Mm-hmm. It's not going to go away. And I think that that's the idea of, this is not a conversation to tire of.
Right.
These are important conversations that whole communities have and need to have to hopefully live happily together. I mean, that's kind of the goal, I don't like certain foods, and you might like certain foods. So you find out that I don't like a certain food. Do you A, choose not to invite me to dinner, or B, do you cook something that we can all enjoy together?
Right.
That's kind of the fundamental conversation of, well, which neighbor are you?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So that's kind of like and that's a basic level of just one example that we can all relate to. And
I was going to stop for a second, because what's so funny about that is, but so many people are so busy, again, trying to push their way. Mm-hmm. Why should I have to make something different? Because you don't.
Oh, yeah.
And it's but they forget the basic thing of, like, respect our neighbors and bring everybody together. Like, my question is always like, why is it so difficult for you to make something? Like, why? I mean, like, it's yeah. That's what I always just say. That always gets me, because I love that analogy. But that's what everybody is like. Well, why is it so different? So you make pizza instead of lasagna, okay? You make spaghetti instead of. I mean, like, I don't understand why it is, but it's that whole thing of now we get to food analogies, what I love. But now it's like, no, we're having hamburgers and hot dogs. I don't care if you're a vegetarian. We're having hamburgers and hot dogs, and that's that. Well, could you offer a vegetarian option just in case?
Absolutely.
How much harder is it to ask them, what do you like? Oh, you like the Boca burgers. Okay, I can get those in the store and have them.
Yeah. What can I make for you so that you can enjoy, because we have vegetarians in our family. I've been open. I'm gluten-free. So there are people who can come to dinner and have very different food preferences. And that can be a big deal for some. And that's the kind of person that, you know, if I'm being invited to dinner and I'll say, I'm just so you know, I'm gluten free, and I'm totally like, you don't do anything fancy for me.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of food that goes on the dinner table that I can eat. So don't change your main course for me, but I just want you to know ahead of time in case you're, you know, I'm the one not eating something. You're like, oh, maybe she doesn't like it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm just gluten free.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I bring non-gluten food to parties because I know, you know, we went, like I said, part one, to a party. I brought one of the best cakes my family loves, and I brought muffins because it was a chili cook-off.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't partake in either, but I wanted to be a part of the party. Like I wanted to bring something everybody would enjoy.
Yes.
And so, and I ate the chilies that were really great. By the way.
Okay. But the thing is, again, that's almost a basic problem. Is that you're like me? We're like, okay, I have a problem accommodating or changing or having to maybe go an extra step. It's the folks who are. This is a great analogy. There are folks who don't want to go extra. Well, no, it's my party. It's my house. I've invited you over. Then just don't come or eat at the table. And it's like, I understand. I'm going to preface this because I don't want anybody saying anything to me like, yeah, okay. Here's the difference. If it's a wine tasting and you're like an alcoholic, then no, you can't come.
Obviously.
I mean, there's certain things. If it's a cheese tasting and you're lactose intolerant, I mean, that's something different. Like there's a certain theme type party, then it's something. I'm not going to change that. I'm like, that's just. I mean, well, wine. Well, you can. I'll call wine if you want to there, but still, the whole point is everybody try these wines. I went to a winery. I went to try them. It's a little weird. I mean, it's like that's a little weird. I mean, that's up to you to figure that out. That's up to me, I think, on that end. But when it's like a regular dinner party, a regular birthday party, just anything like that, was like our family get together. It's like it shouldn't matter. But people have the ego right now of why should I? That's always the beginning of the sentence. Why should I? And you're like, but why shouldn't you? Like, what is it really that? But you're going to Ralph's anyway. Like, okay, folks, I'm sorry. If you're not from LA, maybe you're going to let me name some good grocery stores across the country: Winn-Dixie or Price Chopper, Giant Eagle, Oscar Jewel, Publix. So everybody around the corner.
I'm impressed with your knowledge of grocery stores.
I have a huge grocery store fetish.
Wow.
Aldi's, H. Gregg. I mean, I'll just think of places that around the country. What's the one up? Oh my God, the one up in Northern and Oregon. I have a membership there. I forget there, there's no one up there to you. So just Rayleigh's, Safeway. Don't say. So I just make sure I say some names for you guys. But here in LA, you're going to Ralph's anyway. And some folks are coming and they can't do their lactose. I'll grab some oat milk or I'll grab some almond. I mean, I don't see a problem. I'm already buying stuff already, so I don't see a problem. But others do. And I think it's more of it isn't really a problem. It's just that they're so stuck. So that to me is a great analogy for the country, a great analogy for, as I was on the last show about Twitter and the fandoms. People are just like, nope, this is my stand. I'm gonna die on the hill right here, and that's that. And meanwhile, I feel like you are missing out on something.
Sure.
People actually who
well, you're missing out on the whole conversation.
Well, clearly, yes. No, that's a great thing. That's the basic, right? You're missing out on the conversation.
And the other thing too, it's funny that because what will happen is the conversation continues without them. And now they feel left out because they have a short memory of, well, wait a second. When you were in it, you didn't want to have a conversation because it was your way or the highway. So we continue the conversation because we're still conversing. There's been no decisions made. There's no right and wrong. And all of a sudden you want to come back in. And because we hesitate, having experienced, the previous conversation where you were just absolute in your opinions and feelings and nobody else mattered. So now they feel left out, perhaps judged. And it's like, well, wait a second. You created all of that because you were not willing in the beginning to have the open conversation. So what I hope happens is when folks come back to the table, that they're invited back so that they can be a part of the conversation. And because sometimes people who are at the table who continue to talk can be a little exclusionary. Somebody genuinely tries to come back in and said, I'd like to continue the conversation. I realize that maybe I was a little harsh, maybe I was too absolute. We have to be able to let that person back in too. And I think that that's where, some of the subsects of folks kind of dwell, because either they haven't come back to the table or they've been rejected. And so it's just this cycle of all we want to do is continue the conversation to reach compromises, improve on those compromises over time, and hopefully create a community of all kinds of people who are contributing to make life better for each other. I know it sounds very Pollyannish for those of you, I'm dating myself.
Kumbaya, yes.
And kumbaya, but what a beautiful community. Why can't we reach for that goal instead of being so divisive?
Why can't it be? It was all so simple then.
Yes. Now, I live in reality. I go out in life day to day. I'm a business owner. We're super far away from that. But there was a time, folks, I think, and not so distant in the past, where communities were communities and people actually stood up for one another. They weren't maybe as inclusive, certainly, but there are communities out there who did accept the outsider to come in and were better for it. So
yeah, and so people, I was looking, if you're watching this, I'm looking down, I was writing. Melissa just actually named our 2 episodes. You just named our 2 episodes. I didn't write
that, folks. I'm producing without no knowledge.
I have no knowledge, and you just named our 2 episodes. Okay, anyway, so that's a little side note. So I was listening to her. I had to write it down because I'm old. I'll forget.
And we forget.
We forget. I got to write it down. I'll forget. It. I'm like, that was great. What was it? Yes. No, and that's the thing. Everything you said, I agree with, and I think it's giving people the, I want to say the rope. I don't like that word, but give people like the elasticity to bounce back in or bounce out, or like this is a good time to talk. I can totally tell you're just hyperactive. You're going through something. Okay, we'll just let it go for now. But when you're ready to talk again, I'm here. If you're ready to talk, and to say it without shade or anything, just like I see right now. We're not getting anything right now, and that's fine. But we'll just talk. We'll talk next time. Let's talk again about this. Let's pick this up later sometime and talk about it. And I think, but again, we just don't have people. I think people are at this point. Part of it's the pandemic. I think part of it is we're going through a time in history we've never been through before, and I think that is informing everything socially. I have kids in my life. And I know for a fact, a lot of teachers tell me the kids are a little messed up a little bit because the last couple of years, having to be at home the first year, no contact with their friends, and they're dealing with whether their parents and the elders are going through. They may know, may not know. People lost jobs, and people were angry at each other, and vaccination things, the news, and the whole Trump and Biden administration. There's a lot of stuff going on. The kids are dumb. Kids are not dumb. They absorb, they're sponges, they absorb, they can hear and feel things. And I think that's something we have to keep in mind. Especially, one big jokes because off camera, my mouth runneth on the dirtiest scale. I use a few cuss words regularly.
Not you, James.
I usually cuss for comedy. But when my grandchildren were born, I had to watch my mouth. I was getting in trouble all the time because I forgot. Yeah, the kids, they pick up shit.
Yeah. They do.
They do. And so now that they're older, the big joke is I say cuss word in front of them, they're like, yeah, we know what it means. Now they're older, so they're teenagers, they don't care.
Sure.
But I got so
They're cussing
trained.
themselves if they're teenagers, James.
Exactly. And I'm so trained not to cuss in front. I'm like, did I say that? I'm like, oh yeah, they're just teenagers. So that's always a big laugh. But there are a lot of folks who just, I think because of this whole pandemic, we're having to learn how to kind of regain our social networks. So it's so weird, and I don't know how you feel about this also, to meet up with someone in person, yet you've seen them on screen for the last 2 years, but it is you are being reunited on some weird level. Like it's weird, like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. Like, and you hug each other like you haven't seen each other in 2 years. But on some level you haven't. But on some level you have. So it's a total mind F.
Yes.
It is. No, it is. And so our brains are like trying to feel that.
Well, I agree. I think that a lot of feedback from folks that I've connected with off of Zoom, the energy, is so positive. So positive. People are happy to be back in person. I have heard, countless times, James, in the last 2 weeks, how you cannot replace an in-person meeting or an in-person dinner, and it's just true. We are humans. We need contact. We need to have other humans around us, and I think, though there are a lot of folks still, James, that will say, no, I'm not eating at restaurants right now.
I know.
I'm not going to parties now. I'm masked up. In business, truly that's the case. A lot of folks just still want to take Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, like, that's, again, my attitude is whatever makes you comfortable. I'm fine either way. I prefer in person now, but I'm happy to be on a Zoom call, so that you're not excluding folks, right? And creating, again, further division between the Zoomies and the non-Zoomies, or the teams and the non-team, So you just kind of roll with it and make people comfortable. But there's going to come a time, I would imagine, that we're all going to be back in person.
So I'm curious about that. That's actually a curious point, because first I would say, yeah, you have the compassion again of like, once again, whatever makes you feel comfortable. I prefer this, but if you want to do this, it's fine. My life will go on if we just do a Zoom call. It's not gonna fall apart. We're gonna be in person. But again, there are a lot of folks who still are like, no, I want to see you in person, or no, it's only on Zoom. And they're very much, again, it's this very dividing line. And I'm like, so for me, I went to a concert, a couple weeks ago. We talked about my first concert.
Yes.
I do eat out, but I wear my mask. I have hand sanitizer. I'm still a no-vid. I've never had COVID. I don't know why I haven't had it. But I just know that like Flobo and I, our buddies, were on a show.
Yes.
We met up on Friday. Beginning of our weekend, we was on the last show. We met on Friday for Jersey Mike subs.
Oh, yummy!
It was so good. And it's this area called Imperial Hill. That's next to LAX Airport. You can sit there and watch the airplanes take off and land.
Cool.
And we were there, and it was nice. But like I said, we just we're outside eating. There are folks kind of around, but he and I are both novids. He's never had COVID either. We're both very much like, oh my God, don't breathe on me. But we were not paranoid. We were fine, and I thought we found a nice solution to get together in person. We live on the same side of town. He's in Palms. I'm in Inglewood, so it's very easy. And then my sister showed up. They saw I Snapchatted, and all of a sudden they crap out of me. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, ah! And there was my sister and brother-in-law, and they showed up. They've had COVID back last year, but they're fine. But we all got together, and we went and had 50's ice cream. So I was like, if you're in LA, Southern California, that's a big deal. Melissa knows it. It's a big deal. It wasn't 15 cents like we were kids for a scoop. But it was a square. It was a square.
15 cents, James.
It was 15, 30, and 45 cents. That's exactly for 1, 2, and 3 scoops. That's how old Melissa is. And then, me too. Me too.
Yeah, throw that in there.
Yeah, me too, I guess. And it was good. I had my black cherry. It was good. Looks like he was a kid.
Yummy.
But it's like, I'm very careful and cautious too, but I'm human. I like human interaction. And I feel like if I catch COVID because I have to hug somebody, want to catch COVID because I've been very careful the last 2.5 years.
You have. You have been very careful.
I've been very careful, and I just feel like, but I miss non-affection. I'm an affectionate guy, and there's a lot of us who are like that.
Yes.
My fans always send me virtual hugs. They know how much I'm a hugger. They know I'm a hugger. They know everything, and I'm just like, dang it! I'm like, dang it! I was like, so I will get if I get COVID, I get COVID because I have to hug somebody. But otherwise, I am very careful. But I am respectful. Back to your cover the thing. A lot of people just say if that's not your bag, that's fine. We'll talk on phone or FaceTime or Zoom.
Yeah.
That's fine until you feel comfortable one day. And I'm hoping we do. I just don't know how. I don't know. The future's so uncertain. I said we're going to hell in a handbasket, but that's just me. I don't know how. I don't know the answer, and so I'm always hopeful on some level that my air quotes hopeful on some level that we can get back to some kind of maintenance where it's just like, okay, COVID is just part of not like the flu and stuff. It's just as part of everything else. I don't know. I hope so. I guess I hope so. But again, it goes back to you being open to other people's feelings. That's the bottom line of all of this that we were talking about the last 2 episodes.
Right.
Is it more important for you to just stick to your guns and you feel these 4 or 5 things? Or is it more important to try to see or try to find a way to work with others who maybe agree with you on 3, 2, who knows, or 1 thing, and find a common ground because we have to live together. And I think on some level, there's some people I don't be friends with. Sure, I don't remember them, and that's fine. But there are a lot of us that I'll be friends with, and I want to, love my neighbor and work with people, and because we all want the same 4 or 5 things. So it's like in life. So I want that for all of us. We all want love and good jobs and good food, and and whatever. I mean, I just feel like that's the one thing we all want. So we got to stop all this divisiveness of like, it's my way, this is it, and that's it. Women should be this way. It should be no gays. Old people are this, and blacks. I mean, I'm tired of all of that. It's like, can't we all just be? I'm almost Pollyannish too. It's like, why can't we just all just be who we are, as long as it's not hurt nobody else?
Right.
Everybody get their piece of the pie. I'm like, I don't. That's literally what I want.
Well, I agree.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of basis of our show. It's kind of we talk all kind of stuff, and that's what it is. Like we all want just everybody have their place in the sun. I have no problem with everybody having their place in the sun. If it's not hurting anybody.
And I would also say to all of us that we can all benefit from emotional intelligence, and that's a big statement. They write plenty of self-help books about it. There's studies on it. But I got to tell you, I think the true leaders in a community have a high level of emotional intelligence, and they have the ability to remove themselves from a conversation and see it from other points of view. Now, as a leader in a community, you have to make a decision. So, of course, not everybody is going to agree with you. Of course, some people are not going to get what they want. But at the end of the day, if you do it thoughtfully, usually you don't have the hate. You don't have this extreme divisiveness. People can walk away and go, well, at the end of the day, a call had to be made. It didn't go my way. Okay, fine. Like I'll, hopefully the next time around, if I feel strongly about something, it'll go my way.
Yeah.
That's emotional intelligence. That's like a fundamental emotional intelligence. You have to accept somebody else's decision if they're the decision maker and walk away. Now, there are some of us who grew up in a household who would go from parent to parent and shop answers. Those are great negotiators. We need to know who those folks are in life because they have the ability to work a room to get the cookie, right? If I want the cookie, mom says no. I know it's not right, but I'm just going to go see what dad has to say about it. And then there are those kids who grew up in life who didn't even ask. They just went to get the cookie, right? So they believe in asking for forgiveness and permission. Need to know who those people are, because truly those people are like the frontier leaders. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
Send them out first because that's what they like to do. So all these like personalities we need to know about, because they're all important. They're all important.
I'm the person who was like, okay, my parents feel this way about this, that, and the other. So I will placate them and still get what I want. That's the kind of person I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely the negotiator. I was like, and then if it came back around where dad said yes, because he normally did, and mom said no, when mom came back around and was like, oh, wait a second, I'd be like, well, I thought that you were co-parenting. Like I would come up with something.
I believe it. So there you go.
Right. To be able to express to the other parent, like, well, you just didn't give me the answer I wanted. There was a second parent in the household who probably was going to feel a little differently about something. So, and then they just, had trouble with me from then on out, because once I learned how to get what I wanted, and lots of kids are like that. They're super smart. And we see that as a negative, but it's not necessarily a negative.
I was the kid who was like, so my mom likes to have the house clean and some dinner on table. So I'll do that. Then I can ask to go to the concert tomorrow.
Right.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Because she'll be in a good mood. Because she'll be like, oh,
well. In a good mood.
She'll be in a good mood.
And you're in her good graces. So of course she's going to say yes.
Yes. But I had siblings who wouldn't do that. And it was always bumping heads. I'm like, follow my lead. Basically goes back to the whole thing of, no, I'm going to do it my way. I don't want to follow your lead, because you're the good child. Like they had all this emotion in it.
Yes.
And you're going, no, but I'm showing you the way. Make it easier for you. What's wrong with you people?
James, this is the way.
This is the way. Exactly. So I don't have that, but I do have.
Oh. Is that your newest?
Sorry. Thank you. Quiet, Garth. Quiet. I gotta water my plant. That's not water. That's not water either. I water my plant.
Folks who are listening cannot see what you're doing right now.
I know. I'm just like, I got something going on right now, but it's a good plant doing really well. I got to water. It's dry as a bone. I got to water.
It's dry. It needs love.
It needs love. So this is Coffee and Conversation. I'm James.
And I'm Melissa.
And this is episode 43. And this is part 2 of the one we did before. So if you caught this one first, go back to episode 42. That's part 1. And there's some hijinks that happened in that episode. So go back to that one, and then you can lead you to this. Hopefully you watched or listening in order. But if you haven't, no big deal. We're glad you found us. But we are here Mondays. We're recording this on Mondays, release it on Mondays. Episode out as we're recording this, an episode out today, a new episode out today on golf and concerts. Hopefully you listen to that one. It's a lot of fun. But you guys have been actually really increasing in numbers. I thank you. And the kind words. I share something with Melissa. She isn't online like I am, so I have to share them with her. But keep writing them. If you have something good to say, please write it. I will screenshot it and I will send it to her so she has it. I did. I sent you one this week.
Yes, it was Mercurochrome.
That's
right. The comment was from Mercurochrome. Thank you. I think it was Ellen. If I remember correctly, shout out, thank you. And you were absolutely right. And I giggled when I saw it, because I thought, oh, that's the name.
That's the name. You said it. She wrote back to me. That's it.
That's it. That is the name.
So if she was online, she would have said, that's it. You're right. So I mean, someone listened to our show. They actually listened to our show. So, but we appreciate it very much. We're on every streaming audio service platform. And then also YouTube at JLJ Media. We'll see you all next time. Have conversations with each other and get some coffee.